Hey, up next on the Marmy Rock Show, I am very happy to have Crispin back from the Veer Union, man. Great band from the Great North. Always good to talk to Crispin. Welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, man.
So, the timing of this is because you have just done something that has exploded out on the internet scene, man. You did a cover of Numb. So tell us a little bit about the story of why you did the cover and the success it's had so far.
Thanks, man, for the props on that, by the way. I mean, dude, honestly, Linkin Park has always been such a big influence on me, and I've always loved that band. And when Chester passed, it was, I mean, really painful for us all, I believe. And the truth is I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something mostly because of the fact that I feel like I'm one of those people that happens to suffer from the same affliction that he does. And I've always felt really connected to the band and to Chester and his story, and I've always felt like the lyrics in Numb were more about a personal relationship versus a relationship lyrically in that song. And so I felt connected to that song and wanted to bring some light to it, because I feel Chester in some ways lyrically was kind of singing to me, and so I wanted to honor him in remembering him by doing that song and doing it in our own way.
Now, in the video I was watching of that acoustic version, there's some kind of interesting kind of scenes in there. Do any of them have any special significance, or were they just kind of artistic?
A little bit, yeah. If you look at the parts that are kind of in black and white, those parts were actually filmed right where I started Veer. I lived in right on pretty much Hastings in Maine, which is one of the worst places. I guess you could call it the ghetto of Vancouver, where I'm from, where it's just a lot of lost souls. They're drug addicted, and a lot of people's dreams, they're long gone. And I was living on that street when I started Veer, and I was going through a really rough time. And so I wanted to. That's part of my struggle, and that's part of the evolution of. I started from there personally on my journey, and then going into the color, into the color scenes, which are this beautiful, lush kind of place where that's where I live now, and it's kind of the darkness to the light is kind of what the significance was, trying to convey that feeling.
I think you really came across. I'm glad I asked you that question. It really came across, and I appreciate the story behind it. Hey, you're on a really cool tour right now, Resurrection Tour. That's a great lineup. Tell folks about it.
Oh, yeah, I'm super stoked, man. We're heading out with Puddle of Mud and Saliva and Tantric. I think Soil's on the first half of the tour, and then Soil jumps off, and then we jump on to the tour for the second half in place of Soil. And then we also have Shallow Side. So, yeah, it's a really great lineup, and I'm really excited to get out on this tour. And, funny enough, I've actually toured with Puddle Mud in the past, and I know that, he's had his own personal struggles as well. Wes has had his own personal struggles, but, he was always such a great guy to me. I remember the last time I was out on tour with him, I actually lost my voice, and I was really sick, and Wes grabbed me, brought me on his bus, and he was like, dude, he's like, every single time I get really sick, this is what I do. And he made me tea, and he had his special tea, and, so I know that everybody's got their demons, but truly, I've got nothing but good things to say about Wes, because he's always been a great guy to me personally. So I'm looking forward to this tour. I think it's going to be awesome.
Now, when you wrap that one up, you guys are going to be doing some headlining tours. Do you enjoy the headlining gig more, or is it, sometimes tougher because you got to play later and all that other stuff?
I think every scenario has its pros and cons. I love doing both. The one thing that I love about headlining is the fact that you get to get in there, check early, and then you get the rest of the night off. Sure, you have to play later, but there's also some bonuses. You usually get the green room, So bonuses, and not only that, but there's something to be said about when you're doing a headliner and you look at that everybody that's standing right front row is just singing every single lyric and standing, on every word that's coming out of your mouth, and that's the most amazing thing when you're on a headliner. But again, being on a support tour, making new fans is super awesome as well. So they both have the pros and cons.
So, in honor of your 10th anniversary, I saw you're doing an acoustic release. Why an acoustic release, and what was the thought process for that for the 10-year?
Well, the interesting thing is not actually an acoustic release. What it is a full rock release, and it's not also. There's been a lot of confusion because I'm releasing so much material at the same time. But this album is called Decade 2, and it's all brand new stuff.
Oh, okay.
So there's 8 brand new rock songs, and then there's 1 cover of the rock song. So there's 9, and then we did 8 versions of those rock songs acoustically, hence rock and acoustic, Decade 2 rock and acoustic. And we also did 1 acoustic cover, and that acoustic cover happens to be Numb from Linkin Park. So there's actually 18 tracks, and it's all brand new. So that's 1 album. Then we also have another album called Decade 3 that's coming out at the same time, called Demos and Rarities, which is all the demos from the very beginning of the band, from the very nucleus of the band, before the lineup even existed in 2009 when we signed with Universal and released Seasons. So there's so much history. This is the very beginning to now. Hence, we put this whole entire box set together called History of Our Evolution. The very nucleus of the band that started all the way back to 2003. When I first started writing for this project, all the way up until today. That's basically what the History of Our Evolution is about.
Yeah, I was taking a look at that. I'm glad you gave that story because I was going to ask you about that. And the other question I had is that you on the cover of that thing, or is it a morphed picture of you, or who is on the cover?
No. That is something that our designer came up with. And because I said that I wanted to have a bit of a transhumanism kind of vibe for this album. And, essentially, there's a few songs on this album that, kind of are talking about, for example, there's 1 song on the album called Man into Machine. And it's probably the last song I wrote for the album and one of my favorite songs off the record. And it's just kind of about how humanity is kind of evolving into machines. It's surprising all these people that are on the internet that will go on and say a bunch of, all the trollers that just talk shit, essentially, on the internet. And it's just so surprising, the stuff that they say. And, but they would never say that to your face. And that's just kind of how the world is kind of evolving. It's kind of sad. So that was kind of the premise for the artistic look of or creatively for the artwork for the album.
Hey, I don't want to dwell on the topic too much, but I did want to ask you about the song because when we talk about the decade, Defying Gravity was a tune that's very personal to you, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Can you elaborate a little on that?
Yeah, I was going through a time where I had spent, I don't know how many years working in the business, and I had spent so much time signing different record deals and everybody promising this and promising that, and then always being disappointed. Don't get me wrong, I met some great people. I've worked with some great labels and worked with some great people at those labels. And but at the end of the day, they have a bottom line, and they have to make money. It's a business. It's not just the music. It's the music business. And unfortunately, as an artist, being part of the music business, we never really got any money. I was in and out of record deals all the way up until 2016, and I couldn't pay the guys in my band. Times were absolutely grim, and so I had said to the guys in the band, I said, I just don't know if we're going to be able to continue, because as much as I love doing this, there's no money. I can't pay to even get us a new vehicle to get on the road. And don't get me wrong, we haven't completely got past all of this, but the truth of the matter is, defying gravity is just like, well, let's give it one more go and see what happens. But I believe that if we make the right changes moving forward, that we will defy gravity and we will be able to continue, which is exactly what we did, which is why this album is the first time that Rock Shop Entertainment, my record label, has taken the reins and done everything. And so far, so good, because, you know, we released Numb, and it's blowing up, and people are loving it, and people are loving the new music, and this is really the first release that my record label, Rock Shop Entertainment, has done. And that was where Defying Gravity started.
Well, I always like to ask just one little personal interest question as we get through the interviews here. And years ago, I did a feature on the coolest rock and roll hair, and you've got some cool rock and roll hair. Now, when was the last time you cut your hair, and how long is it?
Oh man, my hair just keeps getting longer and longer because I honestly haven't cut my hair in years. I think the last time I cut my hair was probably in 2009.
Oh my goodness. So, like, you know, if you were to unfurl the hair, how far down your body does it go? Have you ever just completely measured?
I don't know. Because my hair is curly, it probably, if you could straighten it all out, it'd probably go back down to my shoulder blades, I would assume, or just past my shoulder blades. But who knows? I don't know. I can't answer that question because I just don't know.
Well, it is some cool rock and roll hair, man. So, hey, I appreciate you coming on, and congratulations on the success of Numb, man. It's got about 500,000 views last time I looked. Maybe it's over 500,000 now. I'm not sure, but it's doing great. So, Crispin from the Veer Union, man, thanks so much for being back on the show. We really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. We'll talk to you again soon, man.